into the win column.
Words of wisdom there for Ryu. So now we're going to be moving into the next match shortly. That's going to be compLexity going up against Immortals. Now, Immortals, again, looking really strong versus C9. What are your predictions for this series? Think it's going to be a 2-0 for them?
Yeah, I would predict a 2-0. I don't know that either map really lends itself to the playstyle of compLexity. Immortals has a ton of individual talent. We saw Phelps was already shedding off the rust and getting right back into form yesterday, and I would expect that these are going to be pretty a lot of distance between the two on the scoreboard at the end of each map.
All right, well, let's take a look at the compLexity roster. Let's pull it up and see what's going on here. Again, they really need to step it up. All 5 of these guys need to individually shine. You know, you have Uber, your old teammate. What do you have to say about him?
Good fragging power. He's got great aim, good recoil control. Tends to be, like I was saying earlier on the telestrator, one of those players that if that opportunity came, he would take the fights instead of falling back to CT spawn like we saw Nifty do. Tends to be pretty aggressive. Def, probably their best player right now. Surreal's been a little bit inconsistent, but I think he's taken over the AWPing duties from Whitmer, who has been in a bit of a slump. And then Android, I think, has a lot of potential. We haven't really seen it unleashed so far this season. He'll need to step up really big, as will the rest of his team, if they want to take a map off of Immortals today. Yeah, I want to see these guys playing at their best, and their competition, again, is going to be Immortals. Taking a look at these guys, anyone that you think is going to necessarily, shine or stand out? Well, we saw Phelps yesterday. Yeah. I think it's extremely rare for him to put up 30+ and their team lose, and he was able to do that. Almost carried them back into overtime against Cloud9, where they had something similar to happen to them that we saw just happen to us in this last map, losing that last round of regulation that could have put it into overtime. I would expect a big performance from him today. He's probably the biggest impact player they have. I think Bolts is probably the guy that's the most consistent for them, and Henny goes off on a couple different maps that he's really, really strong at, but I think Phelps is the player to watch today. Well, I'm looking forward to it, guys. We want to know which team you're rooting for. Make sure you hit us up on social media. Use that hashtag ESL Pro League, and on Twitter, on Facebook as well. That's at ESLCS. I'm going to throw this one over to the casters. We got Moses back and Blue. Guys, welcome back.
Hey, thanks so much, Tom. And indeed, Moses is back with me now for this next match, the Immortals versus compLexity. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this should be a pretty good showing. So Immortals, I mean, it's still just kind of Zeus watch right now, isn't it? We haven't seen enough of him. We want to progress kind of like where he's going to be individually and if they're going to change tactically. And it's another situation where, unfortunately, I think we had this conversation, probably not on air the last time we were in the studio, but talking about who are the teams we expect to be at the bottom of Pro League by the end of the season. I think compLexity is one of their... one of those teams you expect to be down there at the bottom?
Unless there's some sort of like miracle transformation of this team, it would seem.
Yeah, and Uber, we have him on Selfless Watch. He just came over from Selfless, just watched his former teammates. Saw him tweeting out about some of those matches they lost, so he's got a chance to one-up him here against the Immortals. But the Brazilians, they just won gold medal in soccer, so these guys, you just know that's hyped for these dudes. That's going to have zero impact on the actual match itself, but I just, why not?
Makes them feel good going into it.
Yeah, sure.
But
feelings matter at all. Feelings don't matter, Blue.
Maybe for you.
Okay. Good talk. Thanks for just ending that one right there. Why not? But yeah, no, Zeus is going to be a big thing for Immortals. The other one, obviously, Phelps is that player that has had, had some sick games last time they played here in Pro League, and just in general has come out as like one of the forces of this team. So always a fun player to watch. Henny as well, just that AWPing style is really, really cool to be able to spectate, just to see what they're going to be bringing to the table. And it's going to be on train as well. So, I mean, that's where you'd expect someone like Henny, where he has those aggressive peaks, those very fast shots after peeking around the corner of a train. That's when those can be at its most effective.
We didn't really see, a lot of Henny, though. That's the problem on Thursday. When he was playing, it was a pretty quiet day for him, I would say. And I think in some of the matches he was doing pretty poorly. It was kind of the Phelps show, unfortunately. And the rest were kind of on warm-up duty, trying to get back from vacation, it seemed like.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the case for like a lot of teams that we've watched in both regions as well. So, yeah, hopefully more show up. Everyone has their quiet days. Everyone has their slow starts.
Trying to get back into the season, of course.
Yeah.
And now it is going to be on train for the first map. Well, the second map following up in a little bit here, too. But a very interesting map, as you were saying, just in terms of bringing the Opera's power like into check here. T side is where you can really like see the true test of an Opera, is where it's really difficult to try and make that impact on it as a T side Opera here. But the CT side, I mean, playing specifically just trying to punish out direct outside push. This is where you can just get easy pickings as an Opera if they don't have it properly like smoked off and whatnot.
Yeah, a lot of it's going to be down to the utility. And one thing we saw just 2 days ago is a lot of teams being punished just by constant resets to their economy, not being able to build anything up, not being able to be confident in the arsenal they can bring forward into every round. So train's another one of those maps where, I mean, if you have that early Molotov to throw in the choke point, slow down a rush just automatically. Some of the smokes that you need to keep ladder room and the middle choke point blocked off for most of the round. That's I mean, you absolutely need those on this map. But unfortunately, it's one of those situations where unless someone has some kind of a crazy game, unless we see, you know, the British players, you know, Def and Surreal, unless they step up to a new level that we haven't really seen them hit yet, it's still gonna just, you almost feel like there's just not enough on this compLexity team to be able to slow things down.
And we already saw them play when they played versus Optic just about 2 days ago. Didn't really look too good on Tree. Now, granted, obviously, this was already getting into the second map, and they seemed kind of broken by that point, so I don't think it was a really good preview as far
Optic's also a pretty good train team. In terms of the North American teams on train, they're one of the better ones. But as you can see, we are counting down to be live into the pistol round. It is freeze time, 3 seconds left. compLexity versus Immortals.
And Immortals. Nice. Nice opener.
It's going to be a good day.
Making it dramatic. Fun today, Moses.
It is interesting seeing Phelps with the Tech 9 without armor as well. So having the Raid Boss weaponry, but not the full kit to really make that kind of a buy. Walking towards Inner, which is going to be, you know, they have some of this utility. Actually, they have a decent amount of utility. 3 players, again, we see them going for this switch up with 3 players buying those nades. So skewing some of the armor, and here comes the hit. Lucas is going to lead the way, and Whitmer just can't get back in time. That is a very aggressive turn around the corner, and Whitmer is not expecting it. And even just gooshing Surreal at range, he takes a second one. So nice entries, and this is a free bomb site, essentially.
Bolts is trying to punish things a little bit here, too, from the side of the site with the tanker. Uber finally impacting for his squad here, being able to take down Phelps. But now Bolts backing up a little bit here, too, doing even more damage on the way out. Lucas shuts out an additional player. That'll be Uber. All on Android's hands now in a 1v4, basically just hunting frags. Grabs 2, actually. Very well played by Android. Unfortunately, does not mean much in the grand scheme of things, as the Immortals will still claim the round.
And that's quite the pistol round from Lucas. Really, really well done. Those 2 entries, and then just continuing to stay aggressive, continuing to stay forward until you know, towards the end of that round where he starts falling back a little bit. But just this aggressive stance, it slows down the rotations. It buys time for the bomb to actually get planted. And compLexity rotating over, that they don't have any force there because Lucas had eliminated them, so they have to battle every inch of that retake, and it just can't possibly work out.
The Immortals again going directly in and past the White Halls here, but there is going to be a couple players dropping down inside of the ladder room as well. This time with Phelps looking for an entry out through the T-Con. Unfortunately, things don't go very well for the push from ladder room, so this is more than likely going to get called off. The problem is that they've left the gateway open for a player like Def to push back in. He's going to try to play this. The angle's not great though, and he's brought down to 2 HP and immediately punished as soon as they spot him.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he was aiming at. He had his crosshair on the wall that whole time, maybe trying to pre-aim a corner to go around, but either way, it doesn't work out. That early damage that was done to Zeus that held Immortals back, it doesn't matter since Def falls, because no one was close enough to rotate to do any additional damage before they got into the site. So it's going to be a second round for Immortals. You can see compLexity already trying to fall back to save these weapons. But Phelps hears the footsteps coming. And he knows there's 2 here. He's going to spray them both down. He's got to be careful, and he doesn't. He falls to Surreal. So that's a good kill. It does look like the rest of Immortals, though. I mean, they're still on the hunt. They're not giving this up. Zeus is going to have him blocked in. He's got low HP. He's got to be careful. But it's Henny. It's going to be Lucas from this outer site who are trying to chase down. And this close angle with Android, 3 HP. He's got absolutely nothing to do. One more scout, and this will not stay in the hands of compLexity.
And with the instant headshot as he peeks around the corner, finishes off Surreal. And Immortals, again, with the high-pressure sort of style here into the second and probably following up into the third rounds as well, wasting no time at all and trying to just get themselves started right from the get-go. Don't even give the CTs any time to breathe. We've been seeing this from a few teams now. Cloud9 started off on their CT side on Dust 2. We saw it from Echo Fox just on Thursday when they were playing their match as well. And now it seems like the Immortals are just going for like a high-octane sort of play, just rushing into the sites, getting into that gun round as fast as possible.
Well, they also know from practicing against this team probably that they can have a little bit more freedom against this compLexity team. They can do the little bit more, no more spec style. And here's Bolts, and he's just going to rack up a good amount of bank. 2 quick kills for him. He now knows there's 2 more players there. Nade comes out, gets him 1 more kill. It's just a mop up for Immortals. 4 players down. Bolts take some damage, but not too bad. Whitmer's just going to be flanking around. And yeah, this is going to bring us into the next gun round where you're going to hope compLexity has some kind of a plan. Surreal has saved up enough money through these the two eco rounds. He hasn't been purchasing much, so he's going to have the AWP, so they can at least rely upon that.
We're again just posting up on Dumpster, but he'll be completely blind. They know where he's hiding out at. Trying to recover now, but it is far too late. Bolts finishing off the round, and indeed, the Immortals go 3-0 to start us off with Bolts, grabbing a nice little 4K there. Now we see the investment, though. The Surreal will be able to afford an op. The rest are just going to go for rifle buys. Unfortunately, the utility is not great at all. Only 2 smokes for the whole team.
Yeah, that's what happens when you go for that second round buy, especially with 2 scouts in that second round buy they did, and also investing in the armor and the upgraded pistols. Yeah, Surreal has his ult, but you can see there's no kits, no head armor, just so they can have some of these smokes and some of these flashbangs. If Immortals just decides to slow this down, I mean, they're going to have a much easier time in the late stages of this round, and it doesn't look like they're going to do anything aggressive, knowing that with that second round buy, they can really abuse the lack of utility.
Surreal is unfortunately going to miss his initial shot there, but it is made up just a couple of seconds later. Android with the push too, also taking down Bolts, and now it's Lucas's turn to turn this around. Onto the pop train there, takes out Uber immediately after that. And Surreal, while he looks for a trade, mistimes his peak there and will not be able to find it. Ooh, even a weird shot there too, misses another one on a Phelps.
Phelps playing with fire there, but I mean, nicely done from Immortals. Once they see that stack over towards Ivy, that's when they decide to put pressure out Team Mid and just try to and they even things up in a 3-on-3 because of that. Now they're going right back towards Ivy because why not? compLexity probably thinking they've fallen back. They haven't felt pressure there, and they at least held things off initially. So this is going to be a little bit scary. It's going to come to timing for Android because you know he's considering the fact that they can be pushing up from mid as where he's watching right now. But when does he check to his right? Is it going to be the correct timing? And it's not, and Zeus gets the kill.
Peekaboo from Zeus as he pops his head out there to check for it, and unfortunately doesn't spot it. Surreal, though, still doing work with this op, picks up an additional frag, and him and Whitmer are going to try to wrap around CT to still go for this retake, which they have a chance of in the 2v2. Very slow take here as well. In fact, look, they're already around here on compLexity's end of things, trying to line up this flag to prevent them from even finding the plant. Flashbangs, though, were tossed out by the T's. It does hold them back for a moment, and Zeus trying to hunt down a bit here, too. Whitmer spotting it first with the flashbang. It's going to go over top. Surreal finding another op shot connection. It falls onto Lucas now to clutch this out in a 1v2. First shot through the box takes down Surreal, and now all he's got to worry about is Whitmer. Whitmer's still trying to play this slowly as well, but at the moment, Whitmer looking at the complete wrong position. Lucas will fall back inside of Z and let Whitmer move forward here. The jump directly into the crosshair of Lucas, and he will close out the round for the Immortals.
Yeah, they're lucky to get away with that as well. When they have a 3-on-2 and Phelps just kind of walks into that op shot, I mean, that's a massive mistake, especially considering when Immortals goes right back at it, Zeus just smokes that off. He had that smoke the whole time. If Phelps is just a little bit more patient, he doesn't get picked there, and it's still a 3-on-2. Doesn't even have to be that 1-on-1 situation. But they do come out on top, and it's back onto the save. Deagles are out for the compLexity side, Scout onto Uber as well. And here it is again, fast pace from Immortals. Molotovs raining out, forcing players out of position. Zeus taking point. But there's a nice shot from Uber, slows things down, and combined with Def, now they've got a great advantage in this, and he gets one more. All of a sudden, this could be turned completely around, but the range of these AK-47s do work. Bolts has the correct read, but can't win the fight in time. And Zeus now in a 1-on-2. He thankfully has the bomb, and he can bail out towards the B-bomb site.
Surrounded, but still finds a way outside of the boxes, rush over to the B-bomb site. We're going to have to go for a fast rotate, but Zeus already onto the site and finding the plant. There's still a minute and 18 seconds left on the clock. There is no slowing down in this game at all, as the Immortals continue to keep this as fast as possible. Now compLexity still rotating in with double angles, but Zeus at the moment playing this perfectly if he can find the shots when they rotate back in. Looking for Android to move in at the moment through Z. He's got him dead to rights if he doesn't check the other angle. Trying to check it there, but again, just jiggle peeking it to bait Zeus out and confirm he's actually hiding there. It works. The smoke's going to go over top of the bomb, but Zeus is still moving in here, finds the kill, but it's a perfect trade setup. And Whitmer is able to find the corresponding frag to take down Zeus. And I believe this will be a close one, but I think the compLexity guys have it.
Yeah, they absolutely do. That's a good round from compLexity. Very nice shots at a depth with that Deagle. 2 of them at long range. Uber with 1 at the Scout. But is still almost losing it. I mean, Immortals does a great job of bringing that back in. And Zeus almost able, he has the right play, just can't find that kill on Android rotating in. If that turns into a 1-on-1, that's more than likely a win for Immortals. But either way, their first round is on the board for compLexity. Unlikeliest of situations with just the pistols and the Scout. But now they salvage. They have the double op set up into this next round. Surreal and Def with those. And Immortals, that was a very fast-paced tactic. And look at Henny, he's already out. He's tagged down to 51. But with an op of his own, he can find this angle. Def seems to know exactly where he is, and I think definitely if he wasn't sure, he just spotted the gun barrel, so he can just zone in here. He knows he's got Henny boxed against the wall.
Henny, though, not peeking it yet. The flashbang will allow him to escape, but not far enough. Def does trade it out there. Not only that, but he tags Phelps, too, down to 13 HP. So the guys from Immortals struggling to make impact early on in the rounds. Similarly, just to the last round on round number 5, as compLexity is starting to figure this out and starting to find a counter to it here, too.
Yeah, this is really good stuff, and because of all the money they have built up, look at these smokes over towards Ivy. Bolts and Lucas were there, and it just ends up they wasted time because they're falling all the way back from it. That smoke just persuading them they need to go elsewhere. Less than a minute left on the clock. Phelps working in with Zeus. He's going to get caught out by Whitmer, and it's all on Phelps. Does he want to go through this smoke? Surreal is there with an AWP as well. The pre-spray through the smoke does not find it, and Phelps is somehow still alive. That smoke is going to help out. How aggressive does he want to be after this? He could push right through this. This is a little bit scary now for compLexity. He's going to go to connector. They're not expecting this whatsoever. He gets one, and he tries to get away. He does everything he can. He has brought it back down into a 2-on-3, so an opportunity for Immortals.
Diving back into the smoke, but Bolts is going to overpeak, which leaves Lucas as the only one alive. No Molotov either to just hide back here and waste the time. They're going to smoke and flash him out, and as soon as he tries to push it, he's dead to rights against Surreal. Another good retake from compLexity, and this time surviving with a lot more players. They're back on the board, and it looks like it's time for a change-up for the Immortals as strats.
Yeah, I mean, that's really impressive from Phelps, that kind of a play. But this is just good by Def. He knows he's got him boxed in. That flash was nice, but Henny, it looked like he got caught on the train. And even the leg shot, just a good read there. And this is that play from Phelps. If he swings out a little bit wider, if he was able to get that second one, that would have been very, very impressive. That would have increased their chances of winning tenfold. Either way, one more buy for the Immortal side at least. They have 3 AKs, Deagle, Tech 9, so they're feeling the hurt in this economy.
Phelps fast to get himself inside of TCOM, but this is just looking like a default setup now from the Immortals. Uber has pushed his way inside of the ladder room, and he's been spotted at this point by Lucas, of course, but Uber still wants to try and do some damage there. Not going to connect, unfortunately for him. And he'll just fall back outside after having a bit of a battle to scare the members of the Immortals a little bit and waste some time.
Android's got the AUG, because why not? And he's going to peek out with it. And still, again, he's in the same situation where it's all on time. He gets the dink, but he can't find the kill. And at the same time, Bolts finds Uber outside, so this site is open and Def, I mean, he can go absolutely nowhere. He is closed in, so very quickly it's now a 5-on-2. compLexity had him on the verge of breaking their economy, finally giving themselves some breathing room. And it doesn't look like it's going to work out here. Still aggressive. They're going to try and take this off out of Surreal's hands. He's heavily being pressured, misses that shot, he falls, and it's all down to Whitmer, and he can do absolutely nothing but just pray and hope they don't come hunting.
Hunting in the corner now, or holding in the corner now, as the Immortals do start to investigate outside of this area. We can see Zeus, at the moment though, he's definitely more focused on actually staying alive than hunting down this frag, but Whitmer needs to make sure he can keep moving and avoid these players from the side of the Immortals. Does manage to get away from Phelps, who is checking his previous position now, but he's going to be on his back in a few moments here. If he continues to hide out from this spot, he will creep out. And this is actually good movement for Whitmer because, there we go, he's going to line that up perfectly to find the kill against Phelps, and no one's even close enough to find the trade.
Yeah, very, very nice to survive with that weapon. Surreal can still buy. The trouble is, I mean, they didn't build up really that much money despite winning that last round with 3 players alive. I'm not even sure they're going to be able to go forward with this, but as I said, they do buy up. So that AK-47 is going to go a long way. Famas on Uber, 2 M4s, and it's Android who drew the short straw. He's going to be left on a Deagle with no utility. They also have 1 kit on Whitmer, who saved everything last round. So Immortals have got to be a little bit careful of this, and it looks like Henny pressures over towards box halls very aggressively, very quickly. See what he can find with this AWP.
Taking guesses for now and hoping that someone from compLexity wanted to play it up close, but
that's pre-firing a spot where there's a specific smoke that can be thrown where you can look over the smoke from that spot. So he's just pre-firing that to ensure it's not about to ruin his day.
And indeed it won't be. As the Immortals again line up for a press, they do still have the 2 players positioned outside in Ivy, as the others hold back a bit more here just up on top of the ladder room. Will be re-smoked by compLexity, so they won't be able to push downstairs if they would like to anytime soon. Or at least not without having to press directly through that smoke, as now Phelps is positioned.
This is a very, very slow-paced round, but again, I mean, we talk about the utility that compLexity brought into this. They're out of smokes. All they have are 5 flashbangs for the rest of this round. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of different tactics that Immortals can do, and as that smoke clears, Uber falls. Phelps is patient behind the smoke and ladder room, and he's rewarded. Now Bolts has turned into a little bit of a lurker out towards Ivy. He's going to throw what looks like to be a little bit of a distraction. Smoke on the right side, and this is where they're going to push into lower. Whitmer's going for some kind of information because he has no clue what's happening on the other side of the map, and he falls right into the trap. Phelps going to continue to push forward. There's that lurk coming to fruition from Bolts on the other side. And compLexity in this round has just been peeled apart.
As they move forward again, you're looking at boltz to try and move back in through Ivy and cut off any of these rotations here. At the very least, they're just basically on cleanup duty here now, as the two remaining compLexity players are still stuck on the outside train yard, almost exactly similar to what we had happening on the 7th round. Just one back, but this time both of them at the very least are able to play together instead of being separated across the map. boltz moving in now, looking to hunt them down. Def does hold his own for now against boltz, but now phelps is here, and he creeps out past the bomb train. Def also trying to sneak in there too, and Surreal, there we go. They're actually doing quite a bit of damage against the Immortals players here, but still the goal is survival. And Surreal just failed at his version of this one. Now, Def has also just been spotted, and with that, finally, it's going to take phelps, the big player for the Immortals, to clean up both of the remaining players from compLexity.
Yeah, and unfortunately, even just getting those kills at the end for compLexity, it doesn't really do that much damage to the economy of Immortals. They have a good amount of money in the bank left over. You can see, I mean, Henny's got 6,300 still, a couple players. Zeus 5,500, boltz over 3,000. So they're more than happy to lose those AK-47s, especially considering the fact they're going up against 5 USPs. There's 2 nades on the compLexity side, so an opportunity for a nade stack. And that's going to be towards the inner bomb site, and unfortunately, Immortals is going nowhere near it. Henny kicks things off with a shot, and phelps goes unchecked. A little bit of a tough spray there, but he does gather 2 kills. Zeus towards connector is going to find the last 2, although he hasn't gotten the kill. That last bullet that he fires is a nice one. Goes a little bit sideways and lands in the head of Duff.
Curved the bullet.
Yeah.
Nicely done. So the Immortals still just absolutely, just basically as we expected at this point, kind of crawling ahead of compLexity and slowly whittling them down, although there is some good stuff we're seeing from compLexity. Surreal specifically is showing us some good stuff with the op in a few rounds here and there, but with the rest of the team kind of crumbling beyond that, we're not seeing much else from this roster at this point, and that is allowing the Immortals to just push right through them round after round, despite the resistance they are putting forward. This time, everybody from Immortals, very fast push through the white halls and leading into the box halls now, so this is more than likely going to turn itself into just a direct B hit, which at the moment they only have Whitmer to defend that.
Yeah, at a certain point, you bring a second person back, right? But it's too late. Whitmer's already been spotted. They know exactly where he is. He's going to have to fight as well. He's going to have some very nice shots. And unfortunately, I mean, this time, Immortals, we talk about change of pace. Well, this is just them saying, yeah, look at phelps here, running right through fire. So,
His own.
I mean, they didn't even throw a smoke, and that was brilliant because they had Henny with the AWP to cut off rotation. So why block your opera off? As soon as they get down that lower ramp, he's in prime position. And that's just a level of aggression compLexity's not ready for. And phelps is very quickly going to be on the back of Uber over towards Ivy.
Problem is he's done all this damage to himself, down at 30 HP, and they're going to peek him in a minute here. You can see Uber jumping, looking for the headshot angle to punish. And there we go. He finds it perfectly lined up by phelps. And not only this, but Zeus is outside. Oh no! Zeus had it perfect, but he couldn't find the final shot to take him down. Only taps him once there. Now he's on the run, trying to hide in a little cubby around the corner. The pop flash from him. They get out of the way of it though. And even though it's a lineup, Android cannot take either one of the Immortals players down. Phelps will close him out, and Def will be the only one that survives.
And again, Immortals is going to love that. They're at the point now where they just don't mind losing a couple guns at the end of these rounds to take the M4s away, because they've been abusing the fact that there's even the buys that are coming out from compLexity as this losing bonus builds up. It's still not full yet. That every round they've bought, they just don't have the nades to hold off any kind of a hit, and Immortals just keep surprising them. They don't know if it's going to come fast or slow. They haven't been able to get into any kind of a rhythm. Henny's going to find another pick there on Uber. It's all on Def this round. He has the M4, and he's towards the inner bomb site. So if Zeus actually sees this as he probes, they're going to know it's just time to go elsewhere. And that Molotov's going to force Def away. Phelps, meanwhile, has lurked outside. He's starting to be aggressive right around E-Box.
Looking down and trying to hunt those kills at this point. Making sure he checks every which way he can, but obviously we have the pressure rolling in from Ivy now, and this is going to challenge Android in a moment. This times it though, and it looks at the complete wrong spot. So boltz, along with Henny picking up more frags. We have Whitmer on rotate, but this is going to be coming in far too late, and it's again that same situation where they take control of the site, and there's 2 or 3 players just on the other one that cannot do anything about it since they've been boxed out. And on this round specifically, they don't even have really the utility or even a hope now, the gun power, to try and fight back in.
Whitmer has an opportunity to maybe try and get a kill. If he gets 2, he can save that AK-47, but the big thing that he's preventing is them from being so dedicated to hunting down Def. That M4, I mean, the losing bonus is going to be built up, so it'd just be nice to have that. You can drop a weapon over to a teammate. Everyone's going to have a good amount of money, but you can still drop a weapon, make sure everyone has all the utility they need. Because, I mean, after this, Immortals at 9 on the T side, this is starting to get out of to the point where you just can't come back from it. And I don't know if Whitmer bought enough time. Def's going to be under pressure here pretty soon, especially because Zeus is going to fall, so now they know exactly where he is. Now it's let go of the walk keys, but boltz isn't really going for it. boltz wasn't that aggressive, so Def does escape. And it'll be interesting to see. compLexity tried that double up setup a few rounds back if they decide to go back to that.
Debating it now, of course, with the money in hand, but Whitmer does decide against it, just buys up his M4 instead. So it'll be Surreal, again, as the only impactor with an op. And the Immortals at this point are still running away with this match, 9-2, as we continue to forge forward into the closing rounds of the half. And the Immortals as well, very decided about their strats. This is one thing that we were not seeing in our last set, was a lot of hesitation, a lot of just playing for picks early on in the rounds. The Immortals know exactly what they're going to do at the start of the round, and they move immediately to try and get ready to execute it. However, Surreal will be fed a kill early on. There's no flash or anything to support Phelps in that peak, so it's an easy first one for Surreal to grab.
Yeah, that's a nice pick as well. They needed to alleviate some kind of pressure. Don't have a 5v5 late into these executions. Here comes a little bit of presence. It looks like that's a fake execute though. No bodies thrown, and compLexity's bit. Even with the man advantage, they've no one in the site. Immortals doesn't know this yet, but Whitmer's very lucky to get away with his life. Now they're finding out it's an easy palm plant for him. The nades are going to start ringing out. Whitmer's got to make a play, though. He sees Zeus. There's Def finding Lucas in the bomb train. Whitmer's still just biding his time. Finally, he gets into the action. Him and Android. Everyone from compLexity picking up kills. Henny in a 1-on-5. He picks off Def. But what can you really do from here? And it's just the defuse that gets stuck. He can do nothing. But still, I mean, look at the hesitance as well. compLexity not wanting to lose weapons, needing that money in the bank. They don't chase down that last op.
Whitmer again, as you can see, pushing forward there. Nobody from the Immortals even watching that side of the press, too, so it's easy pickings for him. And compLexity, capitalizing on those problems for the Immortals, do manage to finally pick up a third round here. But as they reinvest, of course, right back into reset territory if they lose this round.
It won't be a hard reset. The losing bonus will get reset, obviously, but they have, you know, everyone's sitting around $2,500. So even if they lose this, they should be able to have some kind of a stretch buy in the next round. But either way, Henny goes for a quick pick out ladder room, and they at least force him back. They stave off any of the danger. Surreal's the next one under pressure, but Android bails him out with a nice kill onto Lucas. 2 rounds in a row now, compLexity has found the opening kill.
We're starting to see earlier aggression being punished more and more by compLexity as the half continues forward. But again, the Immortals will have to look to make up for this here, as most of their players are pushing through the white halls towards the back of B. And they do have Phelps in a position to press that site, but still trying to decide exactly where they want to take this. It looks like they've moved a lot of their guys back, and they're going to go just for a pretty direct A play, to be completely honest. Phelps going down through the ladder room, and the other 3 heading in through T-Con.
Looks like they want to line up to throw some of the set smokes towards the bomb train, towards that outer yard. Def is going to be the only aggressive player for compLexity. He's playing out by the electrical box, but he's got no support. He's got to pick his angle. He's really going to have to read this well. Here come the smokes, and the first time he misses the timing on it, and Bolts is going to punish him for it. He does get a dink on a Def. There's Henny watching one angle. Zeus finds a kill. Quickly, this defense collapses. 3-on-2.
Again, you have those 2 players stuck on the wrong site when the actual execute moves in. These rethought strats from Immortals still work out great, and compLexity has been doing a pretty awful job of getting earlier reads on this to try and rotate in. The one round they did actually rotate properly is the round they won. So unfortunately, it's going to kill them again, but they cannot really afford to give up these rounds anymore. They have to go for it in the 3-on-2. Whoever sees that pot flash, he's able to move in while blind and pick up the frag, but he's still stuck in the open here at this point. Gets himself behind the bomb train. He's already lost his teammate, now trying to press forward here. Henny up on top. Whoever spots that but can't find the kill. Too much time has gone by, and even so, Bolt is just going to close out the round anyway. Immortals now in double digits, and we still have 2 rounds to go in the half.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This is a couple times the man advantage that compLexity's had the wrong read, rotating players away a little bit early when you don't have to because you have that man advantage. You don't need to necessarily have 2 players so dedicated to that B bomb site, especially I think Def being that committed towards E-Box all on his own. If you're going to have that kind of an aggressive defense setup, you need a second player there to watch each other's back, because you could see Def just turns away at the wrong moment. If you have 2 players there and you get into a fight and you're at least trading kills, fight's far enough away from the bomb site that your reinforcements can come in. Surreal now dropping a smoke. Is it going to be in time? They just come right through. He gets 1. Lucas trades him off. Whitmer can't land the shot as Lucas crosses into the site, and he has no nade to stop this plant either, so Lucas with 7 HP gets it off.
Another nade is going to be tossed in, but it's not on top of the bomb to try and punish Lucas, who's so low at this point. Not even realizing it. Def moving up close with the shotgun to try to impact, but more and more of his team are slowly being ripped apart. Takes the long-range shot, and it's a complete miss. Bolt's shutting out Def, and they're just losing more and more of their guys. Android, at the very least, holds out for 1 kill, but again, it falls to Whitmer to clutch in the 1v2. Still at the back of the bomb site. So much of the bomb timer has already gone down, and he cannot even see one of the 2 remaining players from the Immortals. Time to back up, and again, time to call a save. It'll be 11-3 for the Immortals.
Yeah, it's actually not a bad idea. Whitmer playing very far back. Once his teammates fall, he's just going for kills. You could tell he didn't want to go for it. They need this op into the last round, because outside of this, It's going to be mostly pistols, maybe a shotgun, maybe a scout, but this is definitely their best chance of stealing away this last round. And they go for a really sniper-heavy setup. 2 scouts, 1 AWP. Surreal's going to have a 5.7, Uber as well. Question is, what can they bring into play behind it? Def is glass cannon. They only have 1 kit. That's going to be on Uber. So not a whole lot of options. They need these scouts in this op to find them some early kills.
The Immortals still very decisive with the way they approach the early rounds here, just pressing forward for the default setup, and Henny's already out here on the outer bomb site, looking for frags, looking for people to push the short lane. They've even dropped down ladder room this early too, so they're going right for it. The push over here on Catwalk or Ivy area as well. Henny's found his first pickup against Android. Lucas pushing out the Ivy tunnel, takes about half of F's HP away. Uber does pick up one in the middle of this against Phelps, but the site control is now belonging to the members of the Immortals. And the rest of compLexity, much like many rounds past, have been pushed outside of it, although a bit of an awkward exchange there where Whitmer comes out on top. They would look at each other, but it takes a minute to realize it. And Whitmer does find the frag against Zeus.
That's got to feel awkward for Zeus, but Luke is still alive on the bomb train. Def is going to try and retake, and this is where that scout really has an issue. Surreal's going to have to do some work. He's got 100 HP. There's a nice shot from Whitmer. Now comes the time where they try and retake this aggressively. Surreal, he picks up an AK-47, so this is seen a little bit more likely. Henny's stuck in an awkward spot, but he finds that first kill. Can he get anything else? Bolts is spraying at the bomb. They don't know if they're on it. It's got a low HP player pushing out E-Box. That's Whitmer, and he falls just 1. The smoke has faded now in Def. The scout, again, is so tough to handle in these situations, and Bolts outplays him.
And with that, guys, the Immortals are going to absolutely crush compLexity in this first half, including a very nice play at the end of it there by their players. So we'll be right back in just a few minutes. 12-3. Let's see if the compLexity players can bring it back at all in the second half.
He's gonna get the 1 kill in that bomb incoming onto the side. FNX has to stay up. No! He gets the triple FNX! Oh my god, what a way to win that round! They don't have a smoke, so this over still. Oh,
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, TheScoreEsports.com, Mountain Dew, and ESEA.
kill. Jump off the roof of the doorway. Android can't land the shot. 14-4 now. Immortals inching closer, and here's the buy. With at least the plant in the last round that they lost, bonus money will help them get a pretty decent buy coming in this round.
So Bolts and Zeus survived the encounter there, and it's a very clean round overall from the Immortals, but this is it. This is where compLexity throws out everything they have to try and keep themselves in this game. Otherwise, it'll be another one for the Immortals, and compLexity will sink deeper and deeper as the record continues to decline here for the Pro League. Still plenty of time to make up for it, but look at Zeus again, still with the flash, still with the shotgun, I should say, but he gets flash banged. And with that, Def will be able to easily finish him off.
He ate that flashbang. Now Bolts is going to be all alone. You can see compLexity at least falling back from this, trying to readjust. Uber, he's just going to sit here for the moment. He likes to check and make sure. I mean, he has this angle where if they try and push to get information, he can punish it, but also he can turn into a little bit of a lurk. He can turn into a playmaker for them later on in this half. Henny has sneaked into ladder room, and he is just waiting. This is a position that can allow him to get information if he hears footsteps. If he gets 1 or 2 kills, if they try and come down ladder, he has an advantage. And he's also able to swing out towards mid, so he's got a new angle for that hit. But look at Immortals overall as a team. They have completely adjusted to the inner bomb site. 3 players are going to be here. Henny is the only one outside.
Still all quiet on the field for now as compLexity continues to hunt down any early frags they can try and obtain. But nothing being found as they are still playing this far too passively, just hoping something comes their way. Def with the smoke finally clearing over here towards upper. He may start to investigate in a moment. And they're going to drop down. Henny holding this though. Grabs the first one. Uber will trade it out. Def going to be a bit late to push into the B bomb site here as he does look for players that are rotating out, but he's going to buy one for free. That's Bolts that goes down, but he trades his gun. Lucas will be allowed to pick up the trade against him. It'll be a 2-on-3, and Lucas and Phelps are a bit confused at this point because they still don't know for real where this hit is coming from. Surreal gets a nice flank around. He's not actually finding Phelps, he said, so he gets past the smoke, but it fades away. There's Surreal with the first pickup. Lucas trying to hold out, but it'll be smoked. And in a 1-on-3, his odds are not looking great.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. Phelps, if he was able to get 1 kill, this would be a little bit more doable. But I think, yeah, Immortals was definitely a little bit confused what compLexity was doing. compLexity themselves seemed a little bit confused as to what they were doing. They went back and forth between each of the bomb sites until Lucas just held on to B a little bit longer than they expected to. So either way, they're going to get the win. They're going to get that 5th round. Another buy is going to be on board for Immortals in the next round, though. That money that Zeus made from the shotgun, the triple kill with the shotgun, he's got just right around 5,000, so they'll be fine on money. And even Lucas could drop a gun over if needed. So still a long way to go for compLexity, but they have to go on some kind of a big run. I mean, 4 to 15 or 5 to 15 even is just too much to allow to come back in. So they have to go on a big run before Immortals can get up towards 15.
And it's got to be flawless as well here with the Immortals going into this next round. Thankfully, this will actually be one, well, unthankfully now, this will be one where the Immortals still go for their investment. Zeus with a shotgun back in hand, and I believe they have donated the gun over towards Phelps. So everybody will be armed back to the teeth. They want to put an end to this right now, kind of carrying over the influence from their T-side strat where they were playing so aggressively. It's going to now as well reflect in their buying strat here on CT side to just get right back into it and try to crush compLexity before they get any sort of momentum going here.
This is very aggressive. Lucas is going to be the first man up. He finds Surreal. He knows there's one more. Can't land that kill. Uber had pushed enough, but he almost misses that. He almost ruins the entire round. He does find the kill eventually. There's still one player, Phelps. He's going to have a big impact. Can he find the planner as well? He does. This is huge for Immortals. 2-on-2 situation. And all up in Henny's hands. He's got full utility, but neither of them have kits.
Zeus and Henny now as well, just trying to work their way over towards the site, but it's very passive in the 2 remaining players from compLexity in the way that they are holding control of this outer yard. Uber just sitting himself at the edge of the short push here. Def trying to line up a shot against Zeus. Zeus does find the kill, but Def trades it, and we go into a 1v1 where Henny's going to push directly over to where Def is hiding out at here. Gets himself on top of the bomb, looks for the shot, and again presses out from it, but it doesn't completely take him down. The leg shot. And Henny, that's going to be so unfortunate, as compLexity will still be able to string together another round off of that.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if he would have been able to defuse that bomb. He would have had to grab that kit that was on Phelps there that we just saw him fall. But still unfortunate that leg shot comes in. Almost able to make it work. 14-6, so a little bit of life left in compLexity. Still, Uber picks up the MAC-10. Believing it to be a save, and he is correct. So this should be a round where compLexity can close the scoreline a little bit, build up some money as well for some of the future losses they'll face. And Whitmer is still going to be aggressive. This is just a full-blown rush. We just saw this last round. He's going to have a very quick new angle on Phelps, and he does find him. There's one over towards Ivy. That's Henny wins that duel with the USP, picks up the AK-47. If he can do a little bit more damage, they might be able to come back in this.
We will see, though, as you unfortunately still have Bolts and Zeus down, which is essentially default pistol. Zeus upgrading himself to a P250 at the least, but they are already investigating the other areas of the map. They want to press them out. I think Immortals at this point is mainly just looking to punish those that get a bit too aggressive here. Not really hunting away back into the site here. And Def, maybe their first target against Henny as he presses forward. There we go, Henny with a pickup. It's an additional AK that either Bolts or Zeus can pick up, but obviously being a bit cautious about that as well in the event someone chases them. They're still playing it passively, though. They're still not really trying to move in and take down Henny, and at this point Bolts too, since they picked up those AKs.
Well, they might get a third one. Oh, that's Uber with the MAC-10. Never mind, but he's taken down very low. Zeus is going to find that, but still, getting out of this round with 2 AK-47s, Immortals is going to be extremely happy with that. Especially because they still have such a big lead. They still have a few rounds to play with before they have to be too worried. But these 2 AK-47s, it might let them buy up here, and it does. So the AWP is out. That's going to go over towards Henny. Bolts and Phelps keep those AK-47s. Phelps doesn't have any utility behind this. But the rest of them make up for it. Good nades, 2 kits as well on Henny and Bolt. So they're going to be well equipped for any kind of scenario.
compLexity splitting up again, heading towards the default right now, but this could also lean itself into a B hit depending on the way that they kind of formulate this after the first couple of seconds. Not as aggressive this time from Whitmer to push his way out through the short lane on the outer site, making a lot of noise as well. Whitmer still finds that first kill, but it'll be a fast trade from Phelps, leaving this in a 4-on-4, which is unlike the past couple of rounds. For the most part, Whitmer's been able to grab that kill and remain unpunished. Phelps, though, burning a lot, and actually was tagged a moment ago by the Molotov, which hit him, so he just barely escapes that with 11 HP.
I don't mind that, though. A calculated risk to just stand in the fire for a second and take that shot. And if he lands it, obviously, I mean, that's perfect. But either way, 11 HP, he's still alive. He's still got that AWP. And with Train as well, with so many different angles outside, even with 11 HP, he can just surprise someone before any kind of actual exchange takes place. Zeus, though, towards the inner bomb site, it looks like he's going to be the one that's put under pressure. And Immortals doesn't have anyone here to support him. So he's going to have a tough job when this hit does come in. 3 players here. Android is coming to meet up. It's going to be a 1-on-4 unless somehow Immortals reads this before it occurs. Now you see him start to shift, but it might be too late.
Zeus is also placing himself down below here too, but the flashbang's been enough to hold out the upper push, so Zeus is able to wrap around, lines up that first kill. That's the bomb going down. Paying attention to Uber once again to make sure that he can try and drop him, and as he pushes out, spots the legs first. Another pickup for Zeus. Zeus is solo holding this site right now, a bit messy on that spray. Android will finally take him down, but he almost eliminated Surreal before even being eliminated himself. Bolt's also pushing from up here too. The nade's gonna go far. Is it enough? And in fact it is. A little up on top, but it still finishes off Surreal, now leaving it all onto Android. No plan at all during that period for the members of compLexity. The Immortals will just finish off the round. And for compLexity, that doesn't even leave them with a whole lot of cash. It's going to be forced territory, and for at least 2 or 3 of their players, they're going to be on upgraded pistols.
Yeah, but what does that take out of compLexity? I mean, that's just too easy for Zeus. He had no pressure put on him the whole time. He gets that 1 kill. Surreal on the ramp with the AWP. He just wants to hold for rotations. Android isn't even quite there yet, so he can't back up or trade anything. I mean, the next plan is the upper guy to run through a smoke and right into more bullets, so easy for Zeus, way too easy. Now look, Def going to be aggressive right around the smoke. He loses that battle, and Phelps is just going to fall away. Henny has not had a good time with this AWP over towards Ivy in these past 12 rounds. He's brought down towards 5 HP, has to slow down the aggression. But compLexity looks like they're trying to force the issue outside here, and they really don't have any legs to stand on. They're almost out of utility as well.
Android has a little bit of positioning by the orange tree, but he's just been spotted by Lucas. Now, the only thing that's going to save him at this point are his teammates trying to cover for him, but they all start to press out as well. There's Henny working with the AWP now, able to take down Android. Lucas following it up with his own shot. Henny does get finished off by a grenade. However, Lucas, again, is still fragging from up on top. It's all down to Uber in a 1v4. Not looking great for him at all here, as he's completely surrounded by everybody on the Immortals, and he just goes down to Phelps. So there you have it, guys. Map number 1 between these 2 teams goes very heavily into the favor of the Immortals. They will get their first victory of the season here, and now go 1 for 2.
Yeah, really good first half out of Immortals, obviously. That's what gave them the big lead, and then they could just kind of play around in the second half. But compLexity just looked outclassed there. That was a really nice effort from Immortals.
And Alan said a little bit more. We're going to throw things back down
Gold
to
medal
Tom.
performance.
Hey, nice.
Well, there you have Immortals picking up their first win of Season 4. Meanwhile, compLexity still not getting it together. A rough series for Uber and the rest of the guys. To break this one down strategically, we got Ryu waiting over at the telestrator.
Thanks, Tom. So we're going to take a look at an execute Immortals use, and they actually ran this a little bit backwards. What you're going to see here when we queue up this replay is they're going to throw smokes that surround the bomb train. It's a pretty common execute, but what they're going to do on the first run of it is they actually come back to the inner bomb site. And then if we come back to the board, I'm going to show you what this looks like. And one of the ways that this strat got used to kind of to fake in reverse, if that makes sense. So what happens with this particular execute is that you can throw these smokes from outside of spawn, or you can throw them from above ladder. What they did the first time, same smokes they threw both times they ran it. They threw, basically it becomes a smoke wall. The idea being that you're going to isolate the player that's playing close, and usually you can get that, you can trade it out. This player has the option of playing off this this E-box right here. They can kind of peek this way, or they can take some fights towards ladder room. What they did on the first execute is this is a little bit close to how their players were, except there was actually one more T in this area. They threw the smokes over and immediately came back in her, but because nobody challenged the player at E-box, it was read very easily, and I think compLexity actually won that round. What Immortals then did the next round is they played with 3 players here, and I think they had one in connector holding control. They actually threw the same exact smokes. The execute looked and felt exactly the same. The difference was they actually came back towards outer. They dropped the player in the ladder room. He was able to take a very clean 1v1. I can't remember if it was Def or Surreal, but they just had a little bit off timing. They took a peek, immediately went down, lost the outer bomb site. Super easy round, and saw Immortals just kind of outclass them there on that map.
Yeah, so again, Immortals picking up their first win of Season 4. I guess my question to you, Ryu, is are the overall, standings vindicative of how good these teams actually are? Because, take a look at your team, Selfless now 0-2, Immortals 1-1. Is it safe to say Immortals may be looking better than Selfless, or it's too early to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think the pundits would say Immortals is a better team. It's hard for me to say that. But no, they've consistently been, I think right now they're maybe 11th or 12th in the rankings in the world. So they're known to be a good team. There's a ton of potential. The only real question mark was how well Zeus was going to play, as a player coming from being coaching. And he's done well. We saw that one round. He basically held the entire inner bomb site by himself. He ended up with 2 or almost 3 kills. Did a lot of damage to the last guy. A grenade finished him off. He's played pretty well overall so far.
Yeah, and Whitmer was, playing pretty solid for compLexity. Overall, Uber not having the strongest performance. From your take, on having him on part of your team, why do you think that was?
I just, it's very difficult to hard carry on a map that especially CT side, there's so many 1v1s you have to be prepared to take. A lot of times inner gets played with sometimes only 1 player, and if not 2 players where one's at a distance holding one angle, one's up close holding the other. It's very difficult to have a huge impact if your teammates are getting killed. I don't think he took too many of those engagements initially. They seem to go somewhere else on the map, but it's extremely tough map to play on if the team doesn't play well as a team.
Well, you could just see at the end, he was the last guy alive surrounded by 4 players, and you just got to feel bad for him. That's probably the worst position that you could ever be in. He's just looking around everywhere. Meanwhile, everyone on Immortals is pretty strong individually.
Yeah, I mean, especially that first half. The first half really is what won them the map. The second half, they lost a couple rounds. It was a little sloppy. It seemed like maybe they were just kind of pushing to get it over with. But that first half, it felt like most of the time was spent chasing kills after they had already pretty much won the round. Very little was spent tactically. That execute I outlined there was pretty straightforward. We see here the stats from Phelps, 17 and 15, pretty close to what we saw from him yesterday. A lot of frags with a lot of deaths. He does tend to be the guy that opens up a site, usually gets traded, but he gets good information, allows his teammates to make plays off of him. Pretty good performance today.
Yeah.
Pretty easy map 1 for Immortals.
It's always a good sign when you're a player that gets the most deaths and is aggressive, really just kind of goes positive or even evens at that point. But we know that you guys are into the stats and news at home, and the best place to do that, that's the Score Esports. So take out your phone on your iOS device or your Android device. You can go to the Google Play App Store and check that out. But stay tuned, guys. We are coming back with the next match, going compLexity versus Immortals. Stay tuned.